Hi, so on this video I'm now going to talk about apertures. So first of all, what is an aperture? So an aperture in a very simple to understand manner is, do you want your photograph to have the blurry effect, as in photographing a bowl of strawberries, one strawberry pin sharp and the rest blurred, as shown here? Or do you want to have an architectural photograph where the full depth of field, everything in the photograph is generally pin sharp? So it's two simple rules of thumb. Now your aperture goes from a low number, for instance 2.4, all the way up to 22. So the higher the number, the higher the depth of field, the bigger the sharpness basically. That's the way I like to think of it. So just go through that again. The lower the aperture, the lower the number. Product photography, the blurry effect. The higher the aperture, things like architecture, landscape photography, nighttime photography, where you want everything in that photograph to pin sharp. So folks, that is basically what an aperture is. Now for me, as a professional photographer, I choose my aperture first when I'm using my camera manually. Now the reason for that is because I'm choosing what the photograph's going to look like, and then I'm going to ask the camera what the shutter speed is, and that is what we call meter reading. By doing that, the camera is going to tell me what the shutter speed is, so that basically I'm going to get the correct exposure, which means I'm going to get the correct amount of light coming through the lens, which means the correct amount of time for the lens to be open. Now, what I would say is if you're going to do sport photography or something like that, you don't choose your aperture first of all. But architecture, product photography, family portraits, fashion, choose your aperture first of all. So again folks, higher the aperture, architecture. Lower the aperture, things like product photography. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned is generally, let's say you're going to photograph the family, you're going to do wedding group shots, you're going to do family portraits. Use your middle aperture, so about aperture 11. Okay? So lower the number, bigger the blurry effect, higher the aperture, more for architecture, landscapes, nighttime photography. So you just learn within 2 minutes what an aperture is. And that is the main point for me about photography. Choosing your aperture first of all. Okay folks, thank you very much.